So today we're basically putting together a cycling workout video. If you're in season and you're looking for a few things to do in the gym, cycling is a non-weight bearing sport, so if we're looking to keep our soft tissues and our bones nice and healthy and strong and stay pain-free on the bike, these are some things that we can do to really help us. I like to start with the leg press. It's super stable, so you can really go maximal like force output without having to worry about, it's just a very hassle-free, low setup, pretty efficient. So I like to go pretty heavy, warm up the nervous system. I'm doing single leg, starting in a ton of hip flexion. So we're really mimicking that like arrow position on the bike as much as we can. And then I use both legs to pick it up just barely. And then I take one leg off and just hold and try to stay as low as I can. We should really only be able to do that 5 seconds. And the best part is this is that with isometric contractions, we can produce the most force at any contraction. So we can really get our nervous system going. Do the other leg. And obviously if you can actually push it back after holding that 5 second, then you can probably add a little bit more weight. You want to find the weight where you can pick it up and then just barely hold it for 5 seconds. And then after that, I like to do a bit lighter weight and focus on just power. So we're just gonna go really quick, single leg, slow on the way down, controlled, and then as fast as you can on the way back. And obviously just the weight if you're not feeling particularly fast. Cool. All right, so this is the Landmine Sissy squat. You don't have to put it against something, but it does just kind of brace it in position a little bit more. You pretty much have to play around with your feet a little bit, but basically you want to make sure that when you lean back, you don't feel like off balance too much. So I gotta move my feet back a little bit. And then we're just gonna focus on leaning back and let the knee bend take care of itself. Hold that for a second, and come back up. Really going for that deep stretch in the quads. Strong core, don't let your back arch, and come back up. Good. Yeah. So right after that, we're gonna go to leg extensions to superset, really burn up the quads. We wanna make sure the seat is all the way back, so we're still stretching that quad muscle that crosses the hip as much as possible. Bring this in as much as you can tolerate with your knees. And then we're still gonna do a very high speed movement, still focus on power. And we're still gonna stick to single leg just to make sure we're staying pretty even between the legs. Single leg, just coming up. Don't fully lock out the knee, keep a little bit of bend at the top. And then we're just coming down. During the off season, I like to go higher reps. I really focus on just really high intensity, lots of reps. But during season, we're going to go lower reps and just focus on a little bit more speed. So in cycling, we have to have strong calves and also a bent knee position and a straight leg position. So I like to hit a 2-for-1. I call this a single leg bent knee calf raise. Basically, you don't have to have your heel elevated, but you do get a bit of a better stretch, so a little bit better for muscle growth. Set that up pretty close to the wall. We're going to go in the same hand as the dominant leg, and then we're just crossing behind. Drive that knee over toe, get that really deep heel stretch, and then we're just going to come up with everything together. You can do sets of 12 reps, it's pretty fine for this. Alright, so getting a little bit more stability work. Obviously keeping your pelvis stable when you're riding is very important. I really like hip airplanes. They're not gonna make you super sore, but they are gonna target some of those smaller hip muscles that are going to control the orientation of the pelvis. You do want a little bit of support here. If you can, if you have like something to hold on to. A wall, worst case scenario, will work. but weights opposite the plant leg, and then we're just gonna come down like an RDL, and then we're gonna really focus on rotating that pelvis away, and then dropping that outside hip down as much as you can into that internal external. With your back leg, you're reaching back as far as you can, and you're just staying nice and long head to toe here. Cool. This is a little bit more of a stability exercise again. If you're having any like foot aches and pains, your ankle hurts, this will start to hit some of those smaller intrinsic muscles of the foot. And it's really good for your balance too. We don't get a lot of that on the bike, obviously. So we're just on a single leg here, and we're kind of following a clock hand. That's why I call them clock taps. We're gonna go forward, diagonal, side, diagonal, back, last diagonal here. My knees tend to hurt sometimes if my knee's not staying over my foot when I'm out of the saddle riding, so I also like this for like that proprioception of keeping that knee straight over the center of that foot. The harder version is to do heel off, so when you get really good at doing it with the full foot on, see if my balance is good enough right now to do this, but you can go heel off the back and do the same thing. Going forward, diagonal, side, diagonal, back, and diagonal. And you should see if you come to the front here, is that my knee is staying over that center of my foot the whole time. There should be a little bit of forward lean for all of these. But really good on that lower leg stability and strength as well for the feet. So hamstring curl machines, best machine for hamstrings. Obviously we do a little bit of knee flexion at the end of the pedal stroke, so I like to have a little bit of that specificity. Not a ton of volume here. One set should be more than enough. Just do a good amount of weight and get this set up properly. Just make sure that bar is not on your knees, and then this bar is right on the Achilles tendon. You want that all the way up, so we're getting as much stretch in those hamstrings as possible. And then probably should add some weight to it. If you come in front here, we do have a little bit of internal rotation of the tibia as we flex the knees, so I like to try to keep those big toes together as we pull back. But just nice and slow. You can go fast on the way down for a little bit more power, but really go slow and controlled on the way up. Just making sure you're staying within yourself if you're new to doing this kind of stuff. Also like the prone hamstring curl, but not for hamstrings actually. I like to use it for hip flexion. I saw this on Instagram as well, so we're just going to steal that one. I like training hip flexion because when you're sprinting, you're going to be using your hip flexor, right? You're pulling that opposite hand towards that opposite knee, and you're going to be using those hip flexors. So I just do this as an injury prevention and strength in my hip flexors. I do get kind of tight in my hips from riding there all the time, so if you have any like tendonitis or anything, isometrics are really going to help as an injury preventative to start helping that tendon start to restructure, realign. So all you're going to do is moderate weight. I've built up to like 70, 80 pounds. Every machine is a little bit different, but you're going to slide down over your ball. So your hips are going to be just off of the bench, and then there's also a little bit of core, because as you lift that up, if your core isn't engaged, your back is definitely going to come up and arch. So we're keeping that core strong. I like to go hands behind the head. We're just going to pick that up and hold that in that short position, which is very hard because as muscles shorten, they produce less and less force. But we obviously need that strength in that short position because that's where we're riding and that's where we're sprinting. We're staying tucked over and aerodynamic. I like to go a full 30-second hold on this one. So, if you really want to train your hip flexors for whatever reason, make them bigger, you can can do it as a dynamic movement. I don't really think that's super necessary for cycling. So you're gonna need 2 boxes. You can do this with just one surface, like so, but I find that you can't get quite as much of a stretch in those adductors. We're gonna be hitting our adductors here, so I like to have the extra box so we can get super lengthened position. You can pause it. No. You have 2 variations you can do. The easier one is obviously the bent knee position. If you're looking to kind of progress into this a little bit more. So we got that forearm down, we got that knee on the box, and then we're just coming here. We're gonna hold at the top for 10 seconds, and then we're gonna let those hips drop and hold at the bottom for 10 seconds. Starting at the easier position, and then the bottom does get a bit tougher, so you definitely want to do that in a second. So once you're done, you're not gonna be able to get back up. Go ahead and stop it. And then we have a much harder variation where we're on that straight leg. So also holding that top position for 10 seconds. Really working the core strength. The obliques are really engaged here. We're really gonna hit those adductors. We're gonna drop to that lengthened position. And that's gonna get pretty shaky if you're doing it right. If you're really, really strong, you can do this dynamic, but again, not really that necessary since a cyclist, we're just looking for strength rather than just like getting as big as possible. Finishing off with just a little bit of core exercise and a couple upper body exercises. We're gonna start with a lengthened push-up plank with a kettlebell drag for a little bit of anti-rotation strength. Come to the side here real quick. So, to make it a little bit harder, a little bit longer length, we're gonna go hands in front of our shoulders, get nice and wide with your feet for a little bit more stability, keeping those hips in line with the shoulders and the feet. Then we're just gonna pick that up and take that across. Try not to go too far where you have to rotate like I just did there. Nice and slow and controlled. Make sure you're keeping your shoulder blades apart. Try not to let those shoulder blades come together. You can go 30 seconds all the way up to a minute with this guy. Finishing off with some upper body. You don't need to do a lot of volume, but I like to do 3 pauses. One with just a little bit of bend, one with kind of 90 degree, and then one all the way at the bottom. Just so we're nice and strong when we're on the handlebars. So I like the push-up handles. They make it really nice, and you can go really deep into the push-up. So starting with a little bit of bend, go 10 seconds, 30 seconds total. And then we're gonna come down to 90 degrees and hold. And then 10 seconds all the way down at the bottom. Just making sure those shoulders are nice and strong and healthy. And if you're feeling good enough here still after the 30 seconds, you can just go ahead and push yourself all the way back up. Alright, for the last one, we're going to get a 40-pound sandbag. If you can't do 40 pounds in between your feet when you're doing a pull-up, you're not a real cyclist. Alright? Alright, so these are a little bit of a oblique exercise. It's mainly for that sprinting when you're kind of pulling that cross body oblique sling to generate power on the bike. So just getting a cable rope here. We're half kneeling position, and we're going to keep those arms straight out in front of us, staying in our body line. And we're just going to drive to that opposite leg. Should feel a lot of core activation here. Feels really good.